Welcome to the Soulful Parenting Podcast, hosted by Ambra Redrick.
We did it. So I really think we can go home. Because really, after doing it, I'm tired.
But this is only the first episode.
It is. It is.
We are just getting the party started.
Okay.
Yeah.
We did it.
We did it.
How long did it take?
Several years. But we will get to that.
Okay.
We will get to that in this conversation. How about you start with introducing yourself? Tell the people who you are.
I am Ambra Redrick. And when I am not talking to you on the phone or having a crazy idea, I serve as the co-founder and CEO of Teen Hype. And I'm here. We did a podcast.
I know, we are doing a podcast.
We are doing a podcast.
For the people, I am Asandi Connor, a dear friend of yours, a youth champion, sometimes a partner in crime, particularly in this project. Absolutely. And a lover of young people. So let's talk about this podcast and who you are and how you got here and all of those fun things, the journey and the story. So why a Black Parent Podcast?
Okay, I was thinking about this. Let me know if I'm unusual or if I'm weird.
You are. We already know that.
So I figured out that I'm a parent observer. Do you observe parents?
No, because I'm probably judging them. But go ahead.
Oh, that's a nice way. Okay, I don't know if it's judgment, but I think subconsciously I hear parents. I see them parenting. I think I see young people too a lot. I realized like the other day that if I hear a kid crying, I have to stop. And I have to know that they're okay before I can take another step. And I don't even know that I can actually verify it. So I think I see parenting. I saw, or I see still, the deep love that parents have for their babies. Particularly, Black mamas and daddies. Like they love their babies so very much. And want what's best for them. And parenting is hard as fuck. It is complicated and beautiful and wonderful. And I haven't seen enough spaces that just sit in that,
Okay. Yeah, I agree. It's messy. All of those things.
Yes.
You are a parent. How many children? What are their ages?
I am what you would call a parent of many. I have 2 biological children, and no comments. I don't want to hear nobody comments, but my children are 19 years apart. Because, tell you how responsible I am. I did not start the second until I made sure the first was all right. And it was questionable. Like at some point, I thought one of us wasn't going to make it. And we both did.
Thank goodness.
So that gave me permission to start a second one. And then I'm mamas of babies everywhere, like Teen Hype babies. And I'm a grandmama.
Okay. How many grandchildren?
1.
Okay. And how old?
4.
Okay.
She is 4.
Okay.
So.
Tell us about, what is Teen Hype? Of course, I know, but the audience may not be familiar. We may have a national audience, hopefully.
Hey.
They may not be familiar with Teen Hype and what Teen Hype is, what Teen Hype does. I know that this is the 20th year of the organization. We're celebrating that as well.
We are. 20 years of working beside teenagers, 20 years of celebrating them and seeing them and working alongside them to build their leadership skills in Detroit. So nothing better than doing all of this in Detroit with young people.
About how many young people have y'all served?
I'm losing count.
Okay.
But last time I counted, we were well over 7,500.
Wow. That's impressive. Okay.
That's why I'm tired.
That's what. Well,
just said,
it's been 2 decades, so you
And
deserve to
some days
be
it feels like
tired.
all two of them.
And sadly, young people still need what Teen Hype does. So
They
there's
do.
still more work to do. And, fortunately, there are leaders like you who are helping to move that work along.
And teenagers have parents.
And teenagers have parents.
They do. They do.
And what does that mean for Teen Hype in terms of parents? Like, how do you all, we know you center young people and teens, but where do the parents and the caregivers fit in that?
So I'm going to tell the truth. I just said this a couple of weeks ago. I think we're learning to love adults because we really, really love teenagers. Like teenagers are our jams. I have to remind the staff that they have parents. And I'm going to need you to talk to the parents.
They come with, yes, you need them.
They kind of come with it, that adult that's standing behind them. Because we're such youth champions, I think sometimes we forget that. But I think they need support.
Okay.
They need to know that there's a place because I think, particularly here, so I think two things happen with teenagers. I think either A, we have a label that's pretty negative, like, they're difficult to work with, it's a hard time, but they're doing their job, so I don't believe that that's true. I think that's a myth. And I think parents are looking for a safe space to drop them off because they're tired and they don't want to kill them.
Everybody's tired.
Teenagers, everybody tired.
Everybody tired.
And I think that's who we are. I think parents know that they can bring them here, and I think teenagers know that they can come here, and this is their place, and we mean that, and that it's a safe space, a space for exploring and discovering and leading. And now it's a space for parents to talk about what it's like to birth and build beautiful children. So,
speaking of teens, what kind of teenager were you? And of course, I have to ask you the Detroit question. What high school did you go to? I went to Osborne, so I got to represent.
I went to Cooley, West Side.
Okay. Opposite sides, but it's cool. But it's coexist.
We can. Went to Cooley. I was quiet. Super quiet. I think that also means I was sneaky, but I was pretty quiet.
Okay, you can say more about that. Sneaky how?
I think I was raised by my grandparents, and so I spent a lot of time feeling like the only child, even though I really wasn't. But I was quiet. Like I wanted to not disturb the groove. So I tried to be really, really quiet and in the background. But of course, I was just like any other young person, growing, developing, curious, trying to figure the world out. And I think my family tried really hard to protect me. I think that's what parents were trying to do. And I think as a result of that, as you know, there were a lot of conversations that didn't happen. A lot of things I didn't discover along the way that I had to discover along the way. But yeah, I was pretty quiet.
What are some, you mentioned the word sneaky. Is there anything that you are willing to share that at this point you cannot be held responsible for? What did you...
You're taking my questions.
What did you get away with? Or what do you think you got away with?
Oh, I got away with... So, I worked at a movie theater.
Which one?
Norwest.
Okay.
And I may have devised a plan with someone else who worked there for us when we got off to go and visit our boyfriends. So the last show was like 7 o'clock, so we out of there by 10. But I told my parents that the last show was like at midnight or something. I didn't get off to 2 o'clock in the morning. So we would catch a taxi. This was before Uber, and the taxi would first drop her off. And then I would go down the street a little bit further. We'd spend time with our boyfriend. I get in the cab, come back, and then we stand outside the theater and wait on our parents to pick us up. And that went on for probably over a year.
What?
I know, right? And I was not a good liar. I just think my grandparents were tired. That had to be it, because I was not that. I was not that bright.
Oh, okay.
Or sophisticated. So.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's Okay, that's interesting. I
It
wonder.
is.
I
It
wonder.
is. And some of those things, when you, like most people who start a nonprofit, some of that is about like not wanting to repeat some of those things and making sure that young people, because there wasn't a teen hype. If there would have
Yeah.
been, chances are I wouldn't have been in a taxi.
Yeah, we've had those conversations about places for young people. And you mentioned young people feeling welcome. And like we talked about how we used to hang out. You can hang out at the mall. You could go roller skating. You could do a number of things. You can hang out at Belle Isle. And how things have changed and young people not having a place where they feel welcomed. I'm curious if there are things that you've heard young people say about teen hype over the couple of decades that about this place and what it means to them, or why it feels special, or how it's unique.
I think it's different for every kid, but we hear things like family. I hear that it's a place where their voices are valued. I think we live in a city that hasn't prioritized young people, right? Like we live in a city where young people have been pushed to the side because we're trying to build buildings or we're trying to revitalize or whatever is the new word that we're going to use to describe what's going on. But because of that, we also are trying to push the things that we ever have perceived that are nuisances to the side. And I think young people, particularly teenagers, are what we describe as, bothersome. And so I think that it's important that they have a space, and this is it for them.
Okay. You mentioned the age gap between your daughters and 19 years.
Ooh, baby.
So, because this is a parenting podcast, like you think about when you started um, with your first and where you are now with your second, and like how is your parenting different, if at all? Or what kind of parent were you with the first child, and how are you now?
So I think, let me first say, I had my first child 5 days before my 18th birthday. I did not know what I was doing, and I think I was too young to know what I was doing. I thought by the second time I had a child that obviously I'm older, I'm more mature. I got this now. I got a little bit of wisdom. And now I think I was too tired to do anything different. So I'll be really curious to know if the outcome is different.
So you acquire wisdom and some lessons learned, but don't have the energy to do nothing with it. Okay. Okay.
Yep. But I can say that I have raised a child with a playpen and a pack and play. How many parents can say that?
Okay.
I'm dope.
That's you are that's the perfect segue. So
Who has done that?
besides that, raising a child both in a playpen and a pack and play, what makes you a dope parent? Like what do you, or what's something that's you're really proud of as a parent?
So my youngest child has a couple of exceptionalities. She's been diagnosed with ADHD, diagnosed with a processing disorder, and I'm so proud of the advocate that I've become for her. It's been baby, a learning process, but I'm proud of the fact that I have learned how to ask and demand that her needs been met and hold that expectation with the people who are responsible for educating her. And I think that's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This podcast.
A labor of love. Keyword.
Labor or love?
Yeah, labor.
Okay. Or both. Where did the idea come from?
So I didn't know. I told you I had to think about the fact that I was observing parents. So I think subconsciously that has just always been in a space. One, because I wanted to be a good parent. So whenever I would see someone parenting and doing a good job, I would ask questions like, wow, like you did, that was fantastic. And, or how'd you do that? Or what, that resource or that thing. So that just kind of lived with me. I think what has happened over the years is that we got into this space where parenting is supposed to be perfect. And so I would hear parents, particularly Black moms who I spend a lot of time with, beating themselves up. Like, oh my God, I'm the worst parent ever. And I'm like, what's going on? My baby is 7 and she doesn't understand stocks and bonds. Really? Or, and just struggling. Sometimes not knowing what to do. My kid came home, they're in the first grade and nobody wants to be their friend. And what I want to do is I want to go up there and whoop some ass. Like,
Right.
You don't have to have no friends, baby. I'm going to be your friend. But parents don't always know necessarily really what to say.
Yeah.
It's the only thing, because tell me if I'm wrong. It's the only thing we have right now where you can do something so important. Like, I can't think of anything more important than people and the work that we do around parenting. Like, we literally are birthing human beings, but you do not need a license for that.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody is checking. Like, if you go to school and you say, I want to be an engineer, or if I want to be a teacher, somebody gives you a list of classes, there's a test. There's nothing for parents.
There's nothing. However, I say often to people, like, we have been having babies forever, and clearly we are still here. We are figuring it out.
I remember this.
Because we'll figure it out. There's something, I think, intuitively that we have that kind of guide us, even if we don't know what we're doing, even if it looks flawed or we feel uncomfortable with it. And, we've also talked about the role of grace.
Yeah.
The role of grace in parenting, and how, like the parents that you've witnessed good parenting, you've witnessed parents be self-critical. And then that there's also this question around, are we as parents doing the best that we can? And that's a big question. And that parenting looks different for different people, different situations, different family dynamics, different, your income, literally where you live in the neighborhood impacts all of your parenting and your choices and what you have access to.
And somehow in our society, I believe we have said it's supposed to happen perfectly. Like, there's this very strange expectation that despite I don't have a class and I don't get a book and I don't know how to do the things, some way I'm supposed to know how to birth a human, feed a human, support a human throughout their journey. And I need to be able to do that perfectly. And at the same time, finish raising me.
Right.
Like, take care of myself and figure out how to, parent myself as an adult.
And for you, how did you navigate that? Like you said, you had your oldest daughter, when you were almost 18. So you were very much a child. Yeah, a child having a child. So share, like, how did you do that? How do you feel like and being raised by grandparents, so you also don't have, that's a whole different generation. Got to meet your grandmother before she became an ancestor. So I know how she got down.
Yeah.
And then your mother's generation, baby boomer, is very different from us as Gen X. So, like, how did you get to go from being really a teen mom to being a CEO and co-founder of an organization that is celebrating 2 decades? Like, that path is not typical when you hear the phrase teen mom.
Yeah. You don't know it because you're in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't think about it a lot when you are just kind of moving through it. And I don't think I've ever thought about it the way you even stated it, because I don't, so many years have passed.
Mm-hmm.
But when I think back to those early days, woo, baby, again, didn't know what I was doing. I can remember falling asleep holding my first child. Like, literally, I don't know what I was doing. I was falling asleep, and somehow she slid like to the other end of something, like the other end of the couch. And I remember thinking to myself, like, oh shit. But then I remember thinking, like, oh, do all parents drop their kids?
Or let the kid roll off the
sofa. Right. Like, what happens? And because you always hear parents saying something like, oh, I dropped you, or, you fell on your head or something like that. So I was like, okay, then I guess I'm doing what everybody else is doing.
It's like a rite of passage. But to get from that, to like literally sitting here where we are right now,
a whole bunch of grace. I think so. I think a village. I think, you couldn't be 18 raising a child without a support system to really, really be okay. So I was fortunate, at that time. My grandparents were still living, and even though she was old school, and she put my tail right on out. As soon as she found out I was pregnant.
She put you out the house?
Girl, Lily. I didn't tell you that,
I learned something new.
baby.
So you went home and said, Grandma, I'm pregnant. And she said, get your shit.
So she said to me, what's his number?
Oh.
Lily was a G. So Lily called, said, gentleman, and said, hey, how you doing? So I understand that my granddaughter is pregnant and she's going to have this baby. And I just want to know that if she's good enough to, she said the F word.
Well, you know you've already cussed. So, but go ahead.
If she's good enough to fuck, is she good enough to marry?
Oh, she was old school.
Dead
Okay.
serious. And there was silence on the phone. And he's like, well, we haven't talked about that. She said, okay, well, while you thinking about it, I'm going to pack her bags and she'll be on the porch for you to pick up.
And how old was he a teen? How old was he?
He was like 22.
Okay.
And so.
She said, I'm a pack.
And she did. She proceeded to pack my bags. And I proceeded to sit on that grass. Remember you said that green thing, that stuff on the porch that's supposed to be like fake grass?
Yeah.
I sat my little tail right there. And my mother came and picked me up. And then I started living with my mom. But in the end, you know, babies are blessings, right? So in the end, that ended up being a support system. I could take her over there and I could babysit because my mother did not babysit. My mother was very, very firm about the fact that she was disappointed. And she had a story in her head. And she would tell me like, you know, all right, you got one. Don't live a life where you're going to be sitting somewhere like on welfare. And that deep desire not to be that person is probably what kept me going. So, you know, I had a baby on Thursday, was in community college, and I was back at school on Tuesday. People did not know. They were like, something is different. And it was from there. And I don't think that any of those things were necessarily good. I wouldn't wish that. But I guess that tenacity, you know, in the end proved to be a really good thing.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Lily.
Yep, Lily was a G and did not play that. Which will be a great topic for a podcast.
Yes. The life lessons, Lily Marie. What were some examples of like good parenting that you've just seen over the decades? And even I'm particularly interested, like if there are things that some people might think are simple, like not these major, because I think extraordinary parenting often happens in simple moments.
It does.
Yeah, I think it happens in simple moments. Yeah, and then sometimes we may not even notice, or the parent themselves are not even aware of, but they're really profound. So I'm curious, what, as a parent observer, what have you seen, like, that you've thought have been, because I imagine that has also fueled this desire to create this podcast.
Yeah. I saw earlier this year, there was a group of parents that were getting ready for a program, for their kids to be in a program. And I saw these parents in a room just speaking life into their kids, saying like, do you know who you are? Do you know where you came from? When you say these words, do you know what you're saying? And it was like, you know, something very related to like MLK Day. But to see parents taking the time to like really speak to their children and speak life into their children. And I don't think any of those parents in that moment were thinking about being a good parent. They were thinking about, you know, this particular speech or this thing that this young person needs to do. But they were taking the time to do that. And I know how powerful that is. I think that when children have good values, I think what I've seen is that young people know where to go. So when parents can take the time to instill those values, it's so beautiful.
Are there any specific values?
It's not. I just think it's about kids knowing. I think teenagers are doing exactly what they're supposed to do. They are learning how to separate. Yeah. They're exploring. They're moving into adulthood. And so they just want to know the rules. Like A and B. Can I do this or I can't do that?
What can and can't I do? What are the boundaries?
And something about kids who are grounded in good values, and it doesn't matter if those values are necessary spiritually or if it's culturally, it is really about young people having good identification of who they are, because then they don't get swayed by all of the things that are going on the outside. And if a parent can do that, and I think that takes capacity. That's something that it took me a long time to figure out. I kept trying to figure out, like, what does a good parent look like? And I realized, like, it takes capacity, right? Like, you gotta have some bandwidth. You gotta have some groundedness in order to be able to do it well, because it takes up a lot of space.
Yeah. So we haven't talked about that, like the capacity part. Like, what does that look like and what does that mean? And does it mean village? Is that part of it? Does it mean you got to have the resources that are financial capacity around time? Like, what does that mean around capacity? And is there a role at this point that Teen Hype is playing in helping to boost capacity in any way with parents?
I think organically Teen Hype is like a surrogate parent. Like, I think in many ways we fill gaps. We fill gaps that the education system doesn't have the capacity to build. And sometimes we're building the gaps that their parents just don't have the capacity to fill. And I think it takes all those. It's like a toolbox. You grab all these tools along the way and you pull this out and you pull that out. There are things that, of course, all the resources in the world can't buy. And then there are also things that are really, really critical that all young people need, and parents have a job, for example, to protect and to make sure that they are safe. But you still need capacity. When I think about, like me saying that my grandparents never caught me, not because they weren't great, but I imagine they were tired. Somebody had to stay awake to catch me. Who gonna be up?
Right.
And 10 o'clock at night trying to figure out what the last movie is. Like, so you need that, and I think not every Black parent is blessed with that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm excited.
I'm excited too. What are your hopes like for the podcast? We are kicking. This is the debut inaugural season. I mean, episode and season. Hopefully there'll be more. But like, what's your hope for this?
My hope is that if a Black parent is like struggling or has a question, that they can find a resource or an answer through this podcast. I hope to normalize some things, because I think this whole idea of doing it perfectly is absolutely ridiculous, but I think we still very much hold ourselves to that standard. I think we need space to talk about the hard shit and to name it and to sit in it and to just be okay with it. So I want there to be a space for us to grieve the hard parts and to just acknowledge that, in hopes that other parents who are having similar experiences can find a space where it's like, okay, it's okay. It's okay if it's hard, and it's okay if sometimes it's sucky, because sometimes it is.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're a parent.
Yeah. And you can love your kid or children and not necessarily like them. I believe in that as well. You said something that I wanted to come back to that I think is important to like talk about Black parenting and how you believe it's different. Like, and do you think that so I have multiple thoughts in my head. So let's start with this first question around, why do you think Black parents hold this image of being perfect? And do you think that's unique to Black parents? Do you think there's a unique like pressure that either we accept and or that we place on each other around that?
I don't know if it's unique. Initially, I thought it was, but I question now. It may look different in other cultures. I wonder if it just looks a little differently. I think there is this idea around us that at one point, I think in society, like we wanted to simulate, like, look, our kids are smart. Look, our kids are capable. And I think that begins this idea of like, our kids can show up right. Like, our kids can dress well, and we can be poised, and we can say the right words, and we cannot, kill a verb. We can do all of these things. And then next thing you know, you are pinned into this corner to become like this Joan Cleaver, or to be this perfect parent, or the Cosby Show, and to recreate that. And I think it's just, I think in many ways it's different. Sometimes more challenging if you have less resources, if there are competing demands. Both of my children, for many years, I was a single parent. That's different. it makes a huge difference in a household when there's a second parent. And I think not enough moms even know that, like, because so many have parented single. And mass incarceration has taken away so many brothers. So I think that makes it unique for Black parents. So I think there are a lot of things that are unique. I just think when you're in it, you can't step back, right? And think about like what makes parenting unique in Detroit versus in other places.
Yeah. I also, one of my hopes for this podcast is the opportunity to celebrate, because like you said, oftentimes you're in it as a parent and you don't see, or you may not even get acknowledged or for the things that you are doing well, or those moments. And so I'm excited about the folks that you'll talk to, the moms and the dads that you'll have conversations with, that you'll get to celebrate, who are probably like, these parents are like, I'm just doing what I do. I'm just doing my best to raise these babies the best that I can. And that opportunity to celebrate and uplift what they're doing well, I think is really important. Something you also said made me think about the word shame, even though you didn't mention it. When I think about like my parenting experience and our desire to assimilate or fit in, and what the standard that we hold is what is a good parent. And when we don't meet that, we don't meet that expectation, how we feel about it. Like, if you have any thoughts or opinion, I'd love to hear what you think about that. The role of shame in parenting for Black moms and dads and caregivers.
I think shame is a word that lives with all of us in different ways, and I think it's like a poison, right? Like once it gets in you, it just gets worse, and the next thing you know, you feel shame about a lot of things. And I think shame makes, of course, us hide, right? And then shame makes us not necessarily seek help or look for resources. And so I think parenting. I think oftentimes parents feel a lot of shame. Sometimes when our young people don't turn out the way we thought.
Whew.
Baby.
Yeah, we hold expectations and the reality.
Right. That you're going to sit here and you're going to be this perfect child. Because I'm a perfect parent, right? So I birth a perfect child, and then you will behave perfectly. You will get all A's. You will go to college. You will make all the good decisions. You will not sneak out from the movie theater.
Right.
You will not give birth as a teenager. You will not do any of these things. Instead, you will turn out to be this perfect human, and then you will reproduce perfect children. And it makes no sense whatsoever.
It's irrational.
It is. But we still walk around like that.
And then be mad when our children show us who they are, and we struggle to accept that. And that being a human is messy.
It is. It is. And the older I get, the more full circle experiences I have. So, I spend a lot of time listening to teenagers complain about their parents, challenge some of the things that they have struggled in. And so when a young person is naming it, right, like if they say, like, Mom, you were a terrible cook. And then I feel bad about it. Like, oh man, I was a terrible cook. And I probably screwed everything up. Like, you never got, broccoli or whatever. And so now I'm a terrible parent. Or the opposite. Sometimes parents like, screw you and don't pay any attention to that. Or just, what if you just a terrible cook?
And that's okay. Yeah. But I made sure you got fed.
Right.
Did you eat?
Right. I remember my daughter, when she was 30, she called me and she said, why didn't you teach me about money?
At 30?
At 30. Checked me.
Okay.
And said, why didn't you teach me about money? And I said, say more. And she said, I didn't know about, how to make investments. I didn't know how to do this, and I didn't know how to do that. I was like, oh, are you at the place in your life where you making investments? No. But okay. She's like, I'm just saying. And I'm like, okay, I gave you what I had.
Yeah.
Right? Like parents, we do that. We give what we have, and what we don't know,
Yeah. That goes back to like the question about parenting, are we as parents at different times doing the best that we can in the
Yeah.
moment, you
Yeah.
know? And you hear people say that, and what does it mean and look like if you really lean into that and believe that is true?
Um,
It's
I
hard.
think that it is. It's
It's hard.
hard, and I think it's hard for teenagers because when a teenager gets developmentally to the place where they figure out that their parent is no longer the superhero, right? Like in the beginning, you are all things. You are right up there with God because you are feeding me, nourishing me.
Yeah.
You have birthed me. There's no one else. I don't even want to be separated from you. To the place where I figure out that you are just like everybody else in the world, that you are a fractured human. And now my job is to name it. Is
Yeah.
to show up and remind you.
In all the ways it's gonna probably piss you off, make you mad, make you uncomfortable, make you want to put me out on the porch.
And they might. And it can be true.
Yeah.
It can all be true.
Yeah.
And that's okay too. Like I think young people need the space to be able to say it, to name it. And I think parents need the space to acknowledge it. Some parents may feel like that they need the space to apologize. Some parents might feel like they just need the space to tell the story, and to help young people like to work through it. But I think what's most important is that both sides have the space.
Okay. Have you ever apologized to your daughters?
Yes, I keep doing it, and I think I'm gonna do something new. I got a new thing. Came from my significant other, as you know. He had his kids sign a contract. Like when he made a decision to start dating, he was like, "Are you okay with me dating?" And they said yes. And they were like in 8th grade and 7th grade. And he was like, "Okay, sign here." Made him a contract. And so 5, 6 years later, when they was like, we didn't necessarily approve that, he pulled out the contract because they don't remember. So I feel like we need a contract. Like, because I apologize. Like, I remember distinctly apologize for every single thing I could think of. That time where you had mismatched socks. I am so sorry. That time when I was late picking you up for school. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry about all of these things, all of the failures, right? And then I think just in their own evolution, I'm not really sure that they necessarily know what they want. And people are different, right? Like,
Yeah.
they're unique. But I remember years later her coming back and saying something, and I was
This
thinking
is
about
the oldest.
yes,
Okay.
coming back. Yeah, my youngest has not brought me receipts yet, but I'm waiting.
It's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah.
And so I think I'm not sure what she wanted, but she came back again about some stuff, and I was like, "Yep, those things happen. You don't remember me apologizing today?" And I wasn't sure if she just wanted me to sit in it for some more, because I think sometimes it's like, kids just want you to recognize how much this hurt or how much this disrupted my life. But we had to revisit certain things multiple times. And so I think I need a contract to say something like, or maybe I'm just going to record myself.
Like, oh, I said this back.
Right.
Like, hold on. Let me go. Here's the receipt.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
you need it.
Okay. Okay. I want to ask you a couple of rapid fire questions. Is that cool?
You can.
Okay. You ready?
I am, but I am not known for anything rapid. But go for it. My brain is rapid, but my processing
it's
is not.
cool. I mean, this is your podcast. You do and take the time to answer however you want. Did you go to your high school prom?
I did.
What song, do you remember the song that was out then?
Doing the butt.
Oh, Schooldays. That was the jam. Okay. Is there some share like one piece of good parental wisdom or advice that you got?
To tell your young people that you see them and you believe them.
And that you see them and you believe them.
Yes.
Okay.
I think a lot of times young people, particularly teenagers, like if they say something, do something, it's like, the teacher said this happened, this story happened. And sometimes we invalidate that. And I think young people need to be seen. You need to say it like, I see you in this moment, and I believe you.
Okay.
You've been in, it feels good to know that somebody believes you.
Yeah,
and
it's like holding space.
Yeah.
Holding space for and being present.
Yep.
with them. What's a movie that you feel like every teenager or child must see?
Okay, they're
Black
not going.
child. Let me clarify. Black child.
Yeah. Okay.
Just one of them. It's
All
not
right.
the only, because there are a
Yep.
lot you could probably mention.
Shawshank.
Really? That is not what I thought you were. Okay.
You know, random life lessons kids need to be able to get.
Why? That is not what I thought you. Okay. Can you explain that?
Um, I think they just need to understand how the complexity of human beings and how, how life, like how life evolves.
Okay. Um. Wow. That
You know, I'm random.
you are random as hell, but that surprised me. Okay. What parental is there parental advice that you would offer?
Um, stay, stay. I think sometimes with teenagers and parents, we had this moment where we out.
Oh, like where we tap out.
Yeah, we either
Okay.
tap out. Sometimes we leave. We take
physically leave.
yeah,
Okay.
and I would encourage parents to stay. Doesn't mean you have to necessarily. That don't mean that y'all need to stay in the same room. Doesn't mean that when there's conflict, but there's something about a kid knowing I'm here,
Mm,
that I'm not leaving. I
mm,
don't like you right now. I don't even want to talk to you. I want to see you. You can go over your grandma's house, whatever that. I still love you.
mm.
I'm gonna always be your parent, and I'm in this.
Okay.
And there's something about young people knowing that in a world that doesn't see them and doesn't stay, they need to know that there are people that will.
Okay. That's good. Okay.
Thank you.
This is the first season.
It is.
Hopefully there'll be we are affirming there will be a season 2.
Yeah.
Yep. 'Cause there are gonna be a whole bunch of lessons learned. Even right after this episode, we're gonna learn a lot.
We are.
Learn a
Is it
lot.
gonna get easier?
Of course.
Oh, okay, good. All right.
You got this.
All right.
So you think about season 2.
Mm.
Are there a couple of parents, like no limitations? Are there some parents, local, famous, otherwise, that you would like to invite to sit on this sofa with you?
Can I have an ADD moment?
You can have whatever you
Okay,
want.
then I'm come back to that. So I thought about the sofa. And I was like, dang, it's white. I can't call it the white sofa, huh? Because that's going to feel really strange on a black podcast.
I think you absolutely can call it the white
You
sofa.
can't call it the white sofa?
Yeah.
It's a white sofa?
This is your podcast. You can do
Oh,
what the hell you want.
I don't know if
I mean, the fact that we're sitting here in this podcast,
is an example of that?
right? And the idea that you had, we should talk maybe a little bit more about that too. Go back to like really the evolution of this and what some of the challenges were. But who would you like to sit on this white sofa next season?
So I want parents that have some depth to their stories, and parents that are not afraid to express vulnerability. And I saw, so I'm a Kirk Franklin groupie. And when I saw all of the things that he went through with his father, I felt like, wow, that would be a really interesting interview. I think, but I'm open. Like I just want to create the container and allow it to go wherever it goes.
So no particular, you don't have a particular list, just okay.
People that people resonate with, that are real and authentic.
Okay. So before we wrap up, I want to have you go back to like the challenges, the barriers, how you got here. Yeah, kind of like the path, the journey.
You reminded me before we started recording. How long? A couple of years at least?
I believe it was 21. It could have been 20. It could have been 20.
Okay.
During the pandemic.
Then we have been
early during the pandemic.
We have been working on this for almost 4 years. And it took that long to get on this couch. And so I think it's a testament to a lot of things. One is that, when you hop on YouTube, you just think that somehow magically the video got there. You do not think about all of the work that it takes to actually sit here, or all the people that are behind these cameras and things that make this happen. And finding those people that you can trust to actually do the work is a whole thing. And it took us some time to find fit and to get things together. You and I spent time talking about like what are the conversations and what do the guests, what does that whole thing look like?
Yeah.
Heck, I didn't even think about it until later. Frankie had to think about a set. I was like, oh yeah, you do need something to sit on.
Yeah, we never talked about that.
No,
Yeah.
none of
Because
that.
we also had this, like, is it video? Is it just audio? We thought the video would be like
More
a really cool,
engaging.
yeah, it would be a really cool
Didn't
component.
think anything about all of that. Like in hindsight, I really thought like, you know how you record a voice recording on your phone? like I really thought in my head it was gonna be
That
that
simple.
simple. Like we want to do a podcast. Oh, and like I call you in a way that how often do we say we're having an episode? So I
That
thought it was
is
gonna be
true.
like that. We have
That
an
is true.
episode. I'm gonna call you on the phone. We're gonna talk, and that's gonna be the end of the episode.
So maybe the evolution of this is you had a podcast, and then finally we can get to that other idea, because you know what I say, you are the CEO, you can do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah. So
Cool.
And what I want is I want parents to have a space, a good space, so that we can raise more babies, more beautiful Black babies that are okay.
All right. Cool. Thank
We
you
are
for
done.
indulging my questions.
We did it.
It was a great conversation.
Thank you.
Yes.
We done, y'all.